Imagine you are on a game show. 3 doors, 1 car, 2 goats. You pick door 1. The host opens door 3 to reveal a goat. He then asks, "Do you want to switch to door 2? Most people say it doesn't matter, 50-50, but they are wrong. And this single puzzle exposes a deep flaw in human reasoning that affects your everyday decisions. The puzzle is called the Monty Hall problem, named after the original host of the game show Let's Make a Deal. It first became famous in 1990 when Marilyn Vos Savant, listed in Guinness as the person with the highest recorded IQ, answered it in her Parade magazine column. She said switching gives you a 2/3 chance of winning, not 1/2. She was flooded with letters from readers, including mathematicians and PhDs, telling her she was wrong. They were wrong. And their certainty is the real story. At the start, before any doors are opened, you have a 1 in 3 chance of picking the car. That is straightforward. If you stick with your first choice, your probability stays 1 in 3. The host then opens a door that has a goat. He knows what is behind each door. He always reveals a goat. He never reveals the car. That is the crucial rule. After he opens a door, the 2 remaining doors are not equally likely. One of them is your original pick, still with its 1/3 chance. The other door holds the combined probability of the 2 doors you did not pick, which was 2/3. But one of those 2 doors is now known to be a goat. So the entire 2/3 probability shifts to the single unopened door that is not your first pick. Think of it this way. Imagine there are 100 doors. 1 car, 99 goats, you pick door 1. The host opens 98 doors, all goats. Only your door and 1 other door remain closed. Do you switch? Your first pick had a 1% chance. The other door had a 99% chance because the host essentially gave you all the doors except yours, then removed all the goats. The same logic scales down to 3 doors. The host is giving you information. Your intuition treats the 2 remaining doors as equivalent, but they are not. The host's action is biased. He knows where the car is and deliberately avoids it. Why does this feel so wrong? Because the human brain is built for quick approximations, not Bayesian updates. We are wired to see a choice between 2 options and assume equal probability, unless there is a clear reason otherwise. This is called the equal probability heuristic. It works fine for a coin flip or a die roll. But when prior probabilities are uneven, and when an agent with knowledge reveals partial information, the heuristic fails. Our gut says 50-50. The math says 2/3. Consider Monty Hall's actual behavior. He could have opened door 2 instead of door 3, but he did not. The pattern of which door he opens carries information. If your first pick was a goat, which happens 2 out of 3 times, the host has no choice. He must open the only other goat door. Then the remaining door has the car. So in 2 out of 3 possible worlds, switching wins. If your first pick was the car, which happens 1 out of 3 times, the host can open either goat door. Either way, switching loses. So the odds are 2-1 in favor of switching. This is not a trick. It is a lesson about conditional probability. The probability of an event changes when you gain new evidence. Your initial belief was 1/3. The host's action is evidence. Bayes' theorem tells us how to update that belief. But most people do not update correctly. They treat the new information as independent, as if the host's choice is random. It is not. He is constrained, and that constraint is the key. The Monty Hall problem reveals a deep flaw. We struggle to account for the behavior of a knowledgeable agent. In real life, we face similar situations often. A doctor interprets a test result. A juror weighs evidence from an investigation. An investor evaluates a stock tip. In each case, someone with inside knowledge has acted on that knowledge, and their action changes the probabilities. We ignore that subtle fact at our own expense. Take medical testing. A disease affects 1% of the population. A test for the disease is 99% accurate. You test positive. What is the chance you actually have the disease? Most people say 99%. The correct answer is about 50%. The reasoning mirrors Monty Hall. The base rate is low, 1%. The test is accurate, but it still produces false positives. Among 100 people, 1 will have the disease and test positive. 99 do not have it, but one of them will get a false positive. So out of 2 positive tests, only one is real. The test result is like the host opening a door. It seems to give strong evidence, but the underlying prior matters. Jurors face the same kind of fallacy. A prosecutor presents a piece of evidence that a suspect matches a rare trait. 1 in 10,000 people have that trait. The prosecutor argues the suspect is guilty because the trait is rare. But if there are 1 million people in the city, 100 match the trait. The prior probability of guilt is very low. The evidence changes the odds, but not as much as intuition suggests. The brain anchors on the rarity and ignores the base rate. In investing, you hear a stock tip from a friend who claims inside information. The tip seems plausible, but you need to ask, did the friend have a reason to tell you? If the tip were truly valuable, would they be sharing it? The act of receiving the tip is itself information about the tip's reliability, just as the host's choice of door is information about the car's location. The Monty Hall problem also illustrates the pull of confirmation bias. Once you pick a door, you tend to defend your choice. You want to be right. The host's action feels like a confirmation that your door is still in the running. You think, why would he offer me a switch if I already have the car? That reasoning is backward. He offers the switch regardless. His offer is not evidence about your door. It is a rule of the game, but your brain treats it as signaling. There is also the illusion of control. You made an active choice to pick door 1. Walking away from that choice feels like admitting you were wrong, so you stick. This is the endowment effect in action. You value what you already own more than what you could have. The door you chose is psychologically yours. Letting go of it feels like a loss, and losses hurt more than equivalent gains. Even when the math says switching doubles your odds, the emotional cost of changing your mind often overrides the logic. The problem became famous because it fooled experts. Paul Erdős, one of the greatest mathematicians of the 20th century, did not believe the answer until he saw a computer simulation. That is telling. If a man who helped pioneer probability theory could not see the correct answer immediately, then the flaw is not stupidity. It is a feature of how we think. Our intuition evolved for fast decisions in a world of immediate cause and effect, not for abstract probabilities with hidden constraints. There is another layer. The Monty Hall problem assumes the host always opens a door with a goat. But what if the host opened a door at random? Then the probabilities change. If the host could accidentally reveal the car, and he does not, the conditional probability shifts in a different way. The puzzle is sensitive to those assumptions. In the real game show, Monty Hall sometimes offered a switch and sometimes did not. He was not bound by a fixed rule. So the problem, as usually stated, is a simplified model. But that model is still a perfect tool for teaching us about our blind spots. The lesson is not about game shows. It is about the gap between subjective certainty and objective probability. We feel that 2 options means 50-50. We feel that a piece of evidence tells us what it says on the surface. But evidence has to be evaluated in the context of how it was produced. A test result is only as good as the base rate. A witness statement is only as good as the witness's incentives. A stock tip is only as good as the tipster's motives. The Monty Hall problem is a clean, small example of a much larger principle. Always ask what else could have happened, but did not. The host could have opened door 2 instead of door 3. The fact that he did not is information. In a medical test, a negative result could have happened but did not. That is information. In a jury trial, the defendant could have been innocent and the evidence could have been a coincidence. The fact that the evidence is rare is information, but only when weighed against the prior odds. Most people do not weigh, they leap. There is a reason this puzzle is still taught in statistics and psychology classes decades after it first appeared. It is a kind of cognitive vaccine. Once you understand it, you start seeing the pattern everywhere. You become suspicious of simple odds. You become alert to the hidden information in choices others make. The host's choice, the witness's choice, the test manufacturer's choice. All of them embed assumptions that change the probability landscape. The final lingering thought is this. Your brain will always want to trust its gut. The gut is fast and feels certain. It told those PhDs that Marilyn Vos Savant was wrong. It told Paul Erdős he had made a mistake. It tells you every day that your current belief is the most rational. But the Monty Hall problem is proof that your gut can be perfectly confident and perfectly wrong at the same time. The question is not whether your gut is ever right. The question is whether you can learn to pause, step back, and ask, what else could have happened that did not? That pause is the difference between being fooled and being informed. And the only way to get it right is to do the math, not the feeling.